glad you were ready.
You?
Welcome to the Double Cup of Joe Show. I'm your host, Joe.
You did. Nice. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good.
Joe said he was ready, so I just put us live, and then apparently he tricked me. So
I tricked you. You tricked me. I didn't trick you. Sorry about. That's okay. I'll find a way to get you back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's gonna be fun too. You
That
just
will
wait.
be fun. I am. I cannot wait for the day that Joe can get me back on things. This is part of the benefit of being both the producer and one of the cast members of the Double Cup of Joe show, is that I can play pranks on my other Joe.
As I've stated on other shows, I am the other.
The other.
That's right.
Nope.
Good morning.
I'm glad this isn't live because Joe could
There you
definitely
go.
beat me up. I mean, and by live, I mean we're technically live, but broadcasting from the same location.
Double Cup of Joe Show, 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 Double Cup of Joe Show. Man, I've practiced though. I said that.
I practiced though. Yeah, he was training for this moment.
That's right. I was waiting.
Okay. That was pretty good though. So, anyway,
It's catchy.
Yeah, it is catchy.
This catchy name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness!
Anyways,
all right,
welcome
let's get on target here. What's
to the
going
Double
on?
Cup of Joe show. I'm your host, Joe. Again.
Cuppa.
Yeah, see, I can't even say it one time fast, guys. Well, I can't even say it one time slow. The Double Cuppa Joe show. Dang it.
Uber Kappa.
No
Something. Show. Yeah. I'm the other guy.
And together we're here to make your morning go a little bit more smoothly. If it's not morning for you, just pause the video and then play it in the morning and you'll be fine. And so anyway, if you haven't noticed already, we like to have a lot of fun in the morning. We are a little bit slap happy. We're a little bit not sleepy. So we like to have fun. Laugh a little
nerdy.
bit. Yeah.
Nerdy.
Well, a bit, I think, is a bit of an understatement, but well, yeah. I digress. Anyway, so today we're talking about checking yourself still. Self-analysis is really the idea of the week. And today we're diving into specifically accepting your imperfections or the imperfection of others. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that topic when we do. But first, we have that 3-step routine, which involves 3 steps. What are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? What are you going to do today? Your life forward. So, in order to help us, you need to post in the chat your answers to those 3 questions.
Yeah.
But to keep us on track, and also for our understanding, I'm going to ask Joe these 3 questions. Starting with step number 1, because I think that's the step you should start with. And we count up. That's how counting works. So, Joe, what are you thankful for?
I'm going to keep it simple. I'm thankful for interchangeable backgrounds.
Wait, what? Whoa.
Yes. Because just a few short hours ago, I had a bookshelf right there.
You mean you weren't broadcasting from your library?
It also would do that if I did it. There's a time I backed up through the bookshelf in my chair. I was like, woo, it disappeared. Yeah. No, I'm thankful for for that. It's pretty simple. But it doesn't have to be a big complicated thing to be thankful for. You can be thankful for all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for chocolate pudding through a straw.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm
Nice.
thankful that Kentucky Fried Chicken is still open.
Delicious. Those $5 boxes, they get you through a day.
Man, $5. You bet. Anyway, that's what I'm thankful for.
Nice.
I already gave you three. I gave you three things.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh man.
you don't have to stop at one either. You could be thankful for a lot of stuff in your day too, but this is to get your mind moving. So maybe it's fun to think of new things. Maybe you want to think of the same thing. Okay? We just like to change it up for our enjoyment factor.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Keel says he's thankful for coffee. He's been enjoying it lately. And Tef is thankful for programmers that allow you to have split screen on your tablet. That's very cool. I can barely use split screen on my TV.
Yeah, I mean, split screen is a cool feature, but every once in a while I open it by accident on my phone, and I'm like, ah!
How fix? Need
What did I
help?
do? No.
Send a support ticket.
Jesse, what do I do? He's like, don't talk to me.
You know what time it is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sleeping right now. Like,
So anyway, that's step number one. What are you thankful for? Let's go ahead and roll on into step number two. Is what are you looking forward to? You know, there's something out there in your future that you're kind of really excited about. We want to hear it. Post it in the chat. But Joe is going to tell us what he is super excited about right now. Joe?
I am looking forward to the new single dual release.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yes, coming. It's looming on the horizon.
Looming.
Yes.
Nice.
And part of the reason is because I'm looking forward to finishing all the stuff that we're doing right now. We're digging through a bunch of our old songs, and it's been kind of a challenge. So I'm looking forward to the day when that's over. And we can be like, it's out there. Yay, we're done.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad you guys haven't heard some of their stuff yet. Oh wait, you have. Maybe. At the beginning
You
of
hear
this
it on this show.
show.
What? No way.
Crazy.
Awesome.
So Joe's telling us it could get better, guys. There's more. There's
I
more
hope it gets
coming.
better. It'd really stink if it got worse. You know, like if we release stuff and it's not as good as the previous. You ever do that? You ever listen to different albums by artists and they kind of like the first album's amazing and then the second one's like me and then the third one's like then the fourth one's like really and the fifth one's like you ever do that?
No, because I usually lose track of artists. So
It's
by the time you get to number 3, I'm like, who?
well, it's like it's funny. It's like okay, you could tell these guys have a record contract, and they're just like the record company's beating it out of them. Like you have a contract for 9 albums, you need to finish, and so they're just like throwing out whatever. They're just like, hey, whatever.
You asked for it. Here it
Yep.
is.
This is the same. These are like the same songs over and over again, but they're getting worse.
Yep.
So hopefully that's not going to be the case with us.
Don't think it is. I don't think it is at all.
I sure hope not. It's not been that way for every song that Ryan has released. His songs get better and better and better and better and better and better and better. Every single one. I'm constantly impressed by his level of improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Very cool. Cool. Well, yeah, that's something great to look forward to. I'm looking forward to that too. I'm looking forward to the next great album by a single duel. This would
Yeah.
technically be the first, though, right?
Oh, we have a single.
Duel, yes. That's what I'm talking about.
We have a single by a single duel.
Yes.
But we don't have an album yet. You're right.
Okay.
Ryan doesn't have an album yet either.
It's true. Oh,
Well,
hey.
shortly.
First edition albums.
Yeah,
Cool. Okay, so that's awesome. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear the good stuff that you guys have. Um, Akil's still looking forward to music and having sushi with their friend, which sounds awesome. Tef is looking forward to coffee. That one comes up a lot every morning for some reason.
every morning.
But,
Coffee.
like coffee. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so good.
And
Joe agrees.
yes, no, I don't actually
So
agree.
good.
That would be a lie. I don't want to
Coffee's
lie to you
good.
guys. It's
Coffee's amazing.
dirt water.
Coffee's wonderful. Yes. It's awesome.
Joe's trying to use slightly less than subliminal messaging.
Coffee is the best ever. He's like, no, it's not. It's terrible.
I'll let you know when I have my annual tasting of the dirt water.
Annual.
They're like, you got it one day. You know, your taste buds change. Eventually, you'll like it. And every year they lie to me.
Yes, it's gonna happen. Barack is looking forward to getting amazing at musics. And I have to say, you are amazing at music.
Dirty bean water.
Dirty bean water. Surprisingly decent. Surprisingly, yes, it's good.
You can keep saying surprisingly because it would definitely surprise me if it was decent because it's not.
You like it.
Oh. Anyway, that's step number 2. What are you looking forward to? Step number 3 is the final step. This is the action step. This is the step you don't skip. Like, it's only 3 steps. Don't skip out on the third one. What are you thankful for? What are you looking forward to? What are you going to do today to move your life forward? That's the important step. Step that's going to get you going, doing stuff. So, I'm going to turn over to Joe, who has a great idea of what he is going to do today to move his life forward.
Well, I'm going to drop my car off at the shop, get a ride back to the house, and then probably work on the next single dual album.
Oh, no.
Since I'm not going to have a car, I'm going to have to sit at my computer, which is awesome because there's a lot I can do here. I'm super excited.
Mm.
I'm going to do some mixing, editing.
Mixing.
Jeff's going to do some show prep on an interview so he's not caught off guard in 2 hours while still listening to our show right here, man. That's because Jeff is the master.
I don't think we're going to go for 2 hours, though, Jeff. Just kidding. We are totally going to go for 2 hours.
What?
What?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. 24-hour stream.
24 hours, baby.
No, let's not do that today.
Jeff's going to roll over and sleep on the other side. That's awesome. You guys are great.
Becca is going to learn music in the most exciting way possible.
Yes. And Akil is going to nail his presentation today.
Perfect. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yes. You guys are so fun.
All right,
That's
well,
the three-step routine.
that's it.
Thanks, guys.
We're done. We're through three. I don't know how many more steps we could honestly handle, but those
Oh,
three are good enough to get you going, to get us going, and that rolls us right in to imperfections. In case you didn't notice how imperfectly we run through that every day, but
right.
our topic
Oh.
today is about self-analysis. Talking about this all this week. Hey, let's take an introspective look. We talked about this process that Joe and Jeff here call the PDCA: plan, do, check, and adjust. We're
Hmm.
looking at the checking phase.
Check.
Check, 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 checkity check. So that's important. And as you as you do this check phase, it's important to keep certain things in mind. So that's what we're talking about this week. Specifically today, we're talking about accepting imperfection, because the first thing you're going to notice when you do any kind of realistic self-analysis is that you aren't perfect. And if you don't recognize that, you're probably not doing it right. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, to help elaborate on that topic, Joe is going to kick us off.
Yes. Because it's so good that I'm talking about this first because I'm the best at imperfections. And I'm really humble about it too. I'm like the best at being humble.
Mm-hmm.
um, but having imperfections, we all are imperfect. We talked about that a little bit last night on Don't Muddle Monday. We had a guest. We had another bald guy on. Steve. It was great. We were just like two bald headed guys. Um, it was great. Um, thanks, Lay.
I
um,
got you.
but at any rate, so being imperfect is just something that we will all deal with because we're all human. We all have flaws. We all have blind spots. And interestingly enough, like this check step is a way that we can reveal our blind spots to ourselves because we will be just going forward, moving along and everything like that, and we'll think, hey, we're doing just fine. But unless we analyze what's been going on, we start to see what the heck is going on here? And then we start to ask the question, why? At that point, some things start to come to light, and you're like, uh-oh, here's I better fix that thing. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. I mean, when I first started, I thought I was amazing. Now I realize how crummy I am. And the interesting thing, I can almost always tell. Like I remember talking to musicians a lot because I've been involved in music ever since I was a little kid, right? And so like now, I've worked along with a bunch of musicians. I've played with a whole bunch of different musicians. There's all kinds of stuff, right? Here's the thing I've noticed. It's almost like the more experienced and well practiced a musician is, the more they realize that there's so much more to learn. It's always the guy who talks about how great he is. He's like, he's kind of a novice. Like the guy who's like, man, I can play this, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. And it's like, and then you give them an instrument and they're like, "Hmm, hmm." And they don't, and they're like, they don't know what they're doing. They're like, I had this guy that I used to work with that we were listening. He played the bass, or he was beginning playing the bass, right? And so like, and we're listening to Victor Wooten. You know who Victor Wooten is?
No.
arguably one of the greatest bass players that exists. I mean, he's incredible. Like he has bass solo albums, right? Where he's like he's the featured instrument. He plays with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. You never heard of Bela Fleck and the
No, no,
Flecktones?
Joe.
You guys look them up. They're amazing. Like Bela Fleck is he, he plays like it's almost like modern jazz banjo. I know, isn't that weird?
What?
The guy is a banjo virtuoso, like Bela Fleck. He's like it's astounding what he can do with a banjo. And his bass player is Victor Wooten, right? And he's an astounding bass player. And he can play all this great stuff. And this one guy I used to work with, he's like, "Oh yeah, I can play that. I can play that. I can play that. I can play that." And like, yeah, sit him down with the instrument, like, "Okay, play it." He's like, uh, uh, um, he couldn't do it. But it's like, when people talk about how great they are, you almost know for sure they're not all that great, right? But great musicians are always like, "Well, I've got a lot to learn. I'm still getting better. I'm still getting better." And that's kind of how uh, this whole thing seems to work. The longer we go and we check ourselves, the more we analyze our progress and we go forward, the more we realize, this is this vast universe of knowledge that we're just barely tapping. And like I've been a drummer since, oh my gosh, let me think of how many years I've been playing drums. Actually, with lessons for probably for more than 30 years now. I've been playing the drums. And I sit there and I'm like, wow, there's so much I have to learn. Like I don't have time to learn all the stuff I want to learn on this instrument. Like and plus the world of percussion is like this huge vast world of instruments anyway. Like tons of instruments involved. But so the thing about this is the further you go, the more you're going to realize how imperfect you are and the more you're going to be okay with it. It's almost like at the beginning we have this pride and we don't want to do this. We don't want to analyze this because we want to show that we're good. We want to think that we're good. But the whole point of this step of self-analysis, of checking yourself, is to find specifically where you're not good so you can fix it. That's the whole reason we're doing it. But like here's the question. Do you want to think you're good or do you want to move forward? I mean, I've got goals. We talked about purpose last week, or no, 2 weeks ago. Let's forget. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about purpose. You have a place you wanna go, right? And now you're taking action to get there, which was last week, we're talking about action. This week, we're talking about the self-analysis, the checking of your action, so you can, get to where you're going. The only reason we do that is to make those adjustments in order to get where we wanna go. We look at our goal, we're like, "Okay, I'm not there yet. This is my goal. I'm looking forward to it. I'm here. It's there. Hmm. All right. I'm working towards it. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. How did I do? Maybe you check yourself on a weekly basis, maybe a monthly basis. I know depending on what type of thing you're doing, it's good to check that. Some people check on a daily basis. Like, how am I doing? And it's amazing because I was always so disheartened by this step because I'm a perfectionist. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to do things perfectly. And I would do things and I'm like always frustrated, like, I can't do this yet. I can't do this part yet. I haven't practiced enough to get to this part yet. You know, I remember trying to detach when I was playing drums, my right foot and my right hand, they always had to be working at the same time. Like when I finally detached those from each other and I could do different things with those, I was like, that was a huge milestone for me, right? but it took a lot of work, and it took checking and like, how am I going to do this? How can I practice this? And it was very interesting. But for those of us who have any bit of pride, which is all of us, this can be a difficult step. So, with that prelude, I'm going to turn it over to Joe, who likes coffee.
Nope. He's not here. Sorry, I brought you a different Joe. The
Hmm.
Joe you're looking for is in another castle.
Rocco says 30. I thought Joe was 19. I am. That's how math works.
Mm-hmm. He's been doing it since he was -11.
Negative 11 years old, right, Joe?
and and it brings up something I wanted to touch on there, as you're checking and adjusting and doing, is something that one of my my first when I started accounting. I'm an accountant, in case anyone didn't know. Surprise.
Yeah.
Talk about this a lot. Um, is that I had my boss who owned the company that I worked for, and then his wife. They were both really qualified accountants. But my boss's wife was really qualified in the aspect of learning. That if you were to practice something for 15 minutes a day, um, every single day for a year, you'd have like 100 hours into it, like at the end of the year.
Wow.
I think that's right. Like that's all you have to do is put like 15 minutes a day in. You get to 100 hours. You get to the math
That's
wrong.
close to that.
Yeah.
Close to that. 365 days times 15 minutes times a quarter of an hour. So not quite 100.
Yeah, just under 100. So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time every day to get really good at some things. Because I don't know how much experience you think people need to have in things, but like, let's say I had 1,000 hours of experience in something. Like, how good do you think I would be at it? Like, and that's only 10 years of 15 minutes a day. Like, you can become really good at a lot of things simply by checking every single day. Am I doing this? Am I doing this little thing every single day? So when Joe says 30 years, he put 30 years into one single thing. And I'm sure he practiced more than just 15 minutes each day.
Some years more than others.
Mm-hmm. So, like, if you imagine it, like, that's like 1,200 hours. If he just did 15 minutes a day, he's at like 1,200 hours. It's crazy. And we know he put in more than that. So, these things that you're passionate about, the things that you love to do, it doesn't take a whole lot. It just takes consistency. And that's where this checking comes in. Is this idea of am I staying on track? Am I following the path that I wanted to follow? If not, how do I get from where I am now to where I was going? So I don't know if you were to take a map and just draw yourself one line, like here's how I get to my destination. If you ever were to get off of that, you would never get to where you were going because you only have like one way to get there. And then you're kind of lost in the abyss and you're never going to make it. But if you draw yourself a map and then take the whole map, like you just highlight your path that you want to take, and then somewhere along the line you get off, you could draw yourself a new map. And you say, "Oh, I'm not where I started anymore. Here's my new way to get where I wanted to go." And that can be really, really fun. I think that's truly the point here of accepting your imperfections. Is there is an ideal path to where you want to go. But the thing about ideal is it doesn't generally happen. And that's okay. Like that's completely fine. Life is definitely more adventurous. My wife hates it because I'm like, we're going on an adventure today. She's like, Joe, you got lost again. I'm like, no, I'm just taking a more adventurous path.
Yes.
And
And
so
you're along for the ride, sweetheart. Like, aren't you happy?
he's like, we're gonna be late. I'm like, wizards are never late. They arrive precisely when they mean to.
Yes.
She doesn't like that very much either. But we have lots of fun. So, man, now Egg's here, and Static P is here. Everybody's here. Apparently they want to figure out what all our imperfections are, Joe. And we don't
Yes,
have
they're
enough
like,
time in this show to discuss all of those. But anyway, that's kind of where I wanted to take it, was that there are little steps that you can take. These checks. The reason we talk about them is so that you can make these adjustments. And it can be daunting because it's like, oh, I have to deal with the fact that I'm not good at this thing. There are certain parts of my life that I'm not perfect at. And that's what practice is for. That's why I talk about this consistency as it wraps in here, and we'll possibly get to it later, is the adjust portion of our routine here, where it's plan, do, check, and then adjust. And so I do this weird thing where I talk about the doing and the adjusting because it overlaps the middle section of checking. Because if you do checking with no purpose of doing or adjusting, what's the point? I think Joe talked about it yesterday. He'd
yeah,
always do plan and check and then just
yeah.
skip the do step. Hmm, I didn't do it. What should my adjustment be? Probably doing the thing I said I would
Do
do.
it. Yeah, start, do the thing, right?
And so it's always important to keep in mind, whatever you're doing, that why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Super important. It's the reason we talked about purpose. Because not only does purpose go into the planning step, it's also the why for everything that you do. It's the why am I checking? Why does it matter if I'm off course? Well, because you're not going to get where you want to go. Like, why am I adjusting things? Well, otherwise I'm going to keep going the wrong way. Why am I doing things? Well, because that's what brings me joy and changes the world. Like, once you know the why, it's really easy to go, okay, why am I checking? Well, because sometimes I'm imperfect about what I do. And that way I can make adjustments. Like, it's important to know why something exists because that helps you frame your mindset around what you're doing so that you're not spending a bunch of time, worrying about nothing. In auditing, we talked about this yesterday. It's called materiality. If I have $100 billion company and I keep losing pennies out of my cash registers,
Hmm.
that's not going to materially affect any of their financial statements. It's too small. It doesn't mean anything. And I can guarantee you, my lead auditor would tell me, why in the world are you doing that? Like, why? What is the purpose? And and don't get me wrong, sometimes it's important to check and figure out why things are off by a little bit, because generally they're off by a little bit because something bigger is wrong.
Hmm. It's an indication.
Yes, it's an indicator. But if I'm just chasing like legitimate pennies, that's a waste of time. And so here with this checking yourself, we're looking for maybe the little or big indicators that say, hey, something is seriously wrong with what I'm doing. Because if by and large you're doing what you want to do, if you're still on track for your end goal, like, you don't materially need to change what you're doing. You might need to tweak it, but you don't need to materially change what you're doing. And that's the important thing, because if you're checking it, if you look back on yourself, we're talking about accepting imperfections because there's two parts to it. One is like hey, recognizing that you're going to do stuff bad and you will need to change it. And also recognizing that the way that you do what you need to do might not be perfect and that you might not need to change it. Like it might look ugly, it might not be your favorite way of doing things, but it might be the right way to get from where you are to where you're going.
Hmm.
And if you can't accept the fact that that doesn't look like how you thought it was, you're probably not going to get to the end destination. So, anyway, that's what I have to say for now. Joe looks like he's got some great thoughts pondered up in there, and he's going to let us in on his secrets.
Yes. I love what you were saying, Joe, because I think one of the things that we think about a pathway to any success in any endeavor is we have this idea of how it's going to look, right? We have this idea of how the path is going to look, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go along the path. I'm going to hit a few challenges here, and it's going to be good, but I'm still going to make it. It's going to be great. What I've noticed in any endeavor that I've had any success in, the path is a big old mess. It's always a big mess. Maybe that's just me because I'm a messy person. I don't know. But it always seems like the journey is just like, what? How did I get here from there going through that? Like, really? It's really amazing. So like as you start going along this journey, don't be surprised when you're cleaning up messes and you're like, "What the heck? This is crazy." And you're just wondering, "What the heck am I doing?" And that's what makes this so essential. This step right here, it's like, "Okay, we're on the path. How's this going?" Sometimes you're going to feel lost. Sometimes it helps, to have some kind of a mentor or a person that can like help kind of guide you through things. Sometimes it helps to have just partners with you. That's one of the great things the thing that I love about Black Static and Swerve is we've got a group of people and we're all focused on getting to the same goal. We all have different, assigned areas that we specialize in, and we're all working together to do that, but we all assist each other in helping point out what might be going on. We do this check step together. And so a lot of times, you know, we're like we say on Don't Worry Wednesday, you're probably smart enough to figure out on your own what you need to do. You probably are smart enough to do that. However, it just helps to have the validation of others and also an outside perspective to say, okay, have you thought this? Or maybe they can help point out why something's a certain way. Like I may have a blind spot about the way I do things, and I keep running into this wall. Like, I can't get past this. I can't get past this. I can't get past this. And then usually Kyle, Ryan's brother, will say, "Well, have you thought about this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't need to think about that. That's not an issue." And then I think about, yeah, it is an issue, actually. He's usually right. But one of the things that's great about this whole process, especially like, and I highlight Kyle. You guys haven't met Kyle very much. He's been on a couple Don't Worry Wednesday streams, I think. But he is so good at pointing out an issue, but making sure that he doesn't define you as the issue. He defines the issue as separate from you. Like a lot of times in a normal work environment, when they do this check step with you, they do this analysis, they do this, review on you and how you're doing with the company. They really make you feel like you are that problem. They identify the problem as being a part of you personally. Like they really kind of hammer that in there. But Kyle separates that out. He's like, "No, you are a person. You are a wonderful person. And you are like, talented and glorious and all this kind of stuff." Like he makes you feel this way as he goes through it. This issue is a separate thing that we deal with. And so he helps bolster the security, your own personal security by saying, "Okay, this isn't you. This is just something we need to deal with. We'll fix it together, right? But you are still a valuable part of this thing, right? When you're doing every company I've worked for, when they do this review, they're always like checking your performance because they're deciding whether they want to keep you around or not, right? They're deciding whether they want to pay you more or less or something, right? They're doing this in order to see if you are valuable to the company, which makes sense. I mean, you got to be productive, but at the same time, it becomes this. You start to take everything personally because it's kind of driven personally at you. And so it's like, oh, my performance is who I am, but it's not. So I want to explain how important it is to when you're doing this check step, you're looking at your performance, you're looking at what you've been doing. It's it's not to when you look at your errors and flaws in your performance, it's not to say that you are somehow a less valuable person. It's just to say, hey, there's room for improvement here. I can get better. I can get stronger. I can practice more. I can do this better. And the more you do this with yourself internally, the less you have to fear when another person reviews your performance because you are constantly improving. And when you're constantly improving, you set yourself so far ahead of the rest of the world because most of the rest of the world doesn't care. They don't. They're like, hey, I'm just trying to get by, whatever. It's going to be all right. And I understand, I've been there. But when you actually take these steps and start to look at your performance and you start to make adjustments and everything like that, you start to set yourself so high above, you know, your surroundings. Coach John Wooden, one of the best basketball coaches ever, this was his tactic when he coached basketball. He did not look at the game with the other players. He did not look at the performance of his team versus the other players. I mean, that's the scoreboard said that, you know, that was easily obvious. But his point of view was, okay, how are we doing individually against ourselves? Did you play better tonight than you've ever played before? Did you implement what we've been doing in practice better today than you have before? Are you on that track of self improvement? Because it always is a competition with yourself. And what he found was as he did that over time and kept that track, these kids kept improving their own game with themselves, in themselves. It wasn't long before that started to show up on the scoreboard against other teams. And I think he has more championships than any other coach. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't
He's
know.
got a lot. He's got a lot, but most of them came towards the end of his career because he was doing this with his own coaching. He was improving his coaching ability the whole time as well. And so, like, he started, it's always an internal game. But the more you play that internal game of improving yourself, before you know it, all of a sudden you become like this shining star in that field because you've taken the time to do this. It's beautiful. Now I'm starting to get into Thursday's topic already. Like, why would you do this? But I wanted to offer some encouragement because as you're faced with this imperfection, it can be disheartening for sure. You can sit there. I did it all the time. And like Joe was talking about, I would plan and then not do anything and then check. And then that's disheartening because then you're like, well, I'm not even doing anything. So here's the thing. If you have something to check and you're checking through your errors and it starts to be demoralizing a little bit, one, be like, hey, I did something. I remember when we finally got to that point, Jeff and I would talk, all the time. We'd go through this PC process, plan, check, plan, check, right? And we would never do anything. And then finally, when we started doing things and we had stuff to check, we were like, hey, We actually did something. Victory, right? We win. But so you can celebrate the fact that you have something to check. I always talk about when I see a sink full of dirty dishes. The temptation is to look at that and go, "Oh, I gotta wash all these dishes. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do that." Or you can look at it and be like, "Man, we ate good. There was food here, like I'm super thankful for all those dirty dishes because that means we had some food." Um, but at any rate, these are some things. I mean, these are some little tricks as you're going through this imperfection. You can always find the light in the midst of it. Because even though it can be dark, you're looking at your imperfections. Bad, bad, bad. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. But you can be like, hey, you know what? I'm moving forward. I'm trying. I have a goal, which, a lot of people don't even have a goal. And if you have it written down, you're like, you're like in the top 5% of all existence because most people don't even have a written goal. There's a hint. You write a goal down. Anyway, I've talked forever. Joe, please
Joe's
take it
got
away from me.
Joe's got the secrets to success. Just write it down. Just
Write down your goal.
the thing he's talking about here, one of the amazing things about the way that the mind works is like once it's no longer in your head, you're almost compelled to do it.
Mm.
It's a really, really amazing process that your mind goes through, especially if you like do this crazy thing where you tell someone else.
Oh.
Because once somebody else knows it should happen, you're pretty well compelled to do it. Because otherwise, that makes you a liar.
Mm.
Like, it's really, really amazing. Because as long as it's in your head, like you're the only one who has to deal with not doing something. But as soon as you tell somebody else to write it down, you're like, oh crap, now it exists in the world. I'm gonna have to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's really cool. It's really cool, and I highly encourage you if you don't already to like start sharing your ideas with other people. And I think that's kind of where I want to end this conversation today of accepting imperfection is talking to other people about it.
Mm.
When we're talking about self-analysis, it's important for you to do it, but there's going to come a point at which you go, I'm not seeing my imperfections. Like we talked about this at the beginning of the show, of like get used to your imperfections, and if you're not seeing them, something's wrong. It is, but there's a shot that you just don't notice it yet. Other this sounds bad, but other people are really good about noticing your imperfections,
It's true.
and that's not to
That's
be
true.
demoralizing. But the thing is, imperfections stand out. That's pretty much how it works. Is if something isn't how it's supposed to be, people notice, and it's a really good thing. Like if you can take the mindset of this person is trying to help me instead of this person is trying to beat me up for not being good at what I do, you can
Mm.
make huge strides. Strachi, it was good to see you. Have a wonderful day. And you can make huge strides. One of the things I did with my younger brother. So I in my other life now, I talk about having like 10,000 hours will make you an expert at anything. I was a golf pro. I have like 10,000 hours in golf. I'm now an accountant, and I'm pretty good at that. I think I only have 6,000 hours in accounting as yet, but
Mm.
that's only if I don't count my schoolwork.
You have your license.
Yeah, I have my license. But I only
How
needed
many
two.
how many hours since your license?
Since my
Last night.
license, only a few hundred, 700. Um, but when I was a golf pro, I told my younger brother. My younger brother is not a golf pro by any stretch of the imagination. He's barely a golfer. And I told him, hey, I want to know what's wrong with my golf swing, and I want you to tell me. because I was pretty sure I could get him to explain to me what I was doing wrong in my golf swing.
Hmm.
And he's like, Joe, you're really, really good. Like, you actually play really well. How am I ever going to be able to tell you? I mean, just look. I just need you to look at the swing. So I did a couple swings. He's like, well, this part right here doesn't look like it should be part of it. And then I'm like, yep, you're right. I shouldn't be doing that. And then because he is able to tell me this doesn't look right, I'm like, oh, because I'm the golf pro at the time. I know how to fix that thing, but I didn't know I was doing it.
Ah.
Like, and that's where we're talking about having, um, good luck with your econ exam. So, this is where bringing other people in to check you, like when we're talking about checking yourself, is having this section is kind of outside that realm, but it's having somebody else check you because there are points at which you won't be able to see your imperfections or your failures, and that's okay. And the only way you're ever going to reach that point is by having somebody tell you. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually really good. And being able to look at yourself in such a way that you can say, yes, I want this input from my friend. I want this input from not my friend, somebody who's going to be a little bit harsher. Being able to accept that and go, what do I need to change is a really powerful position to be in. It's amazing. It's a very influential on the rest of your life and the people around you because people don't see that very often. People don't get the opportunity very often to see somebody say, hey, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And then still take it well. I know lots of people will tell me, what am I doing wrong? And then they'll get their answer and they'll be like, that's not very nice.
Yeah. Or they'll deny it.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. So learn to accept like other people are going to see these things. And the point of self analysis is again to go, you don't need to tell them whether or not you think they're wrong. Like there are going to be times where people say, hey, you should do this instead of that, and you'll have to go. That's not going to get me to where I want to go. But you don't need to say that. You don't need to say, nah, you're wrong. You can just don't make the change.
Right.
It's one of those things where, you know, by listening to them and then not doing it, you've still listened. But if you tell somebody, no, you're wrong, like, why'd you even ask?
Right, exactly.
Like you don't have to make the change that they made. They're just listing a suggestion. They're trying to say, here's what I see. Um,
Mhm.
Again, I talk about that because as you go through this plan, do, check, adjust, we're going to talk about the why here on Thursday, but you have a purpose that you're trying to fulfill.
Mm.
We've talked about it before. You're not going to be able to do it on your own. I, I don't know anyone who's done anything on their own.
Right.
Some people get credit, like we always talk about Thomas Edison, invented the light bulb. He had a ton of assistants. Like don't ever let anyone say like, hey, these guys ran it on their own. The Wright brothers were brothers. They had help. It wasn't just them.
Hmm. That's right.
Like they're you aren't going to be able to do it on your own, and that is a great, great thing. It's okay. So feel free ask friends for questions to be able to go over your imperfection. And that's pretty much all I have for this topic. Joe, you have anything else to wrap
Oh,
us up
that's
today?
it, man. That's a good
Cool.
topic.
Yeah, it was really fun today, guys. I hope you got something out of this. Make sure you are checking yourself before you're wrecking yourself.
Yes.
Very, very important. I
And
think
make
Joe.
sure you go there and put a topic on there for Free for All Friday.
Yes.
Sorry I interrupted you, but it was worth it, wasn't
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, I heard you
it?
typing. I'm like, I think Joe's gonna post the link to the Free for All
Oh.
Friday topics. So,
Ta-da! Great minds
boom.
think alike.
Yes, I could
Except for
agree.
the opinion on coffee. I don't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
I might not have a great mind, but that's okay. Um, so yeah, go there, share your free for all Friday topic. It's great to have all these topics that we can discuss and learn. Like we're learning just as much from the show as hopefully you guys are. So drop your topics in there. We love to talk about different things that can both be uplifting but also challenge us to think in new and creative ways. Last week, it was the mind body problem. It's a very philosophical question. It gets you to think. And so those questions can be really fun and great to think about. So we really appreciate you guys being here to be able to talk about that. Just a reminder that currently we don't have any Twitch streams for Tuesday or Thursday.
Right.
So when those come back up, we will let you know. We will tell you that when the streams are. But as of right now, enjoy the little rest you can get on Tuesday and Thursday. Spend some time with family. We will be back here tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Whatever
Yeah.
time, an hour ago from now is when we start. So whatever time it is for
An
you
hour.
right now, subtract an hour.
Yeah.
That's what time we start.
Yeah.
Unless you're watching this recorded, in which case, just look for the upcoming one.
Just hit the bell
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be notified.
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 Yeah. Whatever that one.
That one. Those
Mhm.
words.
Hit the notification bell for the notificatedness.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, the 3-day challenge. Everyone who participated, those were
Yes.
some awesome stories. I've partially read a couple of them. In case you didn't know what that means, I haven't read all of them, which is crazy, but they're really good. I encourage you, if you have any kind of an idea or topic or something like that, that 3-day challenge is, hey, let's do this in 3 days. Let's go as hard as we can for 3 days. If for some reason you come up with something and like yesterday, like we're not opposed to having it on there or letting us know. Like we'd love to create stories. That's what we do. It's a studio. Studios produce things.
Hmm?
We'd love to hear your ideas. Um, but I've closed the topic because it's a 3-day challenge. Like I can't keep it open any longer. If you have
But
any
there'll
more
be more.
ideas, yeah, then there's gonna be more. So if you have great ideas, don't just be like, I missed out. You haven't missed out. In fact, if you really want something, go after it. Like I want to encourage you, like message one of us. Maybe it's not us you want to produce it. Maybe you want to see a big name place produce it. Just go after it. And don't take no for an answer unless, shouldn't be doing what you're doing. In which case
Yep.
take no for an answer.
And you can always start a support ticket.
Yes.
Jesse would be happy to hear whatever you want, whatever you want to say.
Yep, he's got your back. He will get to you in your support ticket. So
He's gonna kill me.
all Jesse ever wants in life is support tickets. So anyway, suffice to say, guys, we're really encouraged by what you do here, what you do on BSS Studio, and just the kind of people that our community are. So we are really, really thankful for you. And we hope you come back tomorrow for another episode of the Double Cup of Joe Show. Really good to see you, and we'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.
Bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Brought us back.